This next one's called Kata Example Twist. This is an easy twist to the example kata provided by Code Wars when learning how to create your own kata. Add the value Code Wars to the array websites 1,000 times. And so they made this static class for us with one member here, a static string array called websites. And we basically have to populate that with 1,000 copies of the string Code Wars, all one word. So go ahead and pause it and try this one out. Go ahead and resume when you're ready. We'll get on with it. Now, one way to do it would be to make a constructor, but I'm going to do something easier. We won't bother with any of that, and we can use our old friend link to help us out. And I think we've used this method before, but I'm going to show it just in case we haven't. The enumerable class has a method called repeat, and so you basically give it a value and tell it how many times you want it repeated. So consider this example, strings. They're saying repeat I like programming 15 times, and you can see the output of this program. So that's perfect, right? You can just imagine this being Code Wars. We can copy that. So I can say that websites equals enumerable repeat, and the value I want repeated is Code Wars, all one word in lowercase. And then my second parameter is how many copies I want. And so this should take care of it right here. I'll go ahead and test that. Oh, sure. So this is back to that point of these link methods kind of give back this generic enumerable collection holding strings, but we're trying to assign it to a string array. So if you remember the way to convert from these generic enumerable arrays to an actual array, link is kind enough to have a method for that. We just say toArray. So let's try that. That looks a lot better. And this is what I'll actually submit, but why not go over another way to do it just for fun? If you want to stick around and watch, you can. So I'll just hit reset to get us back to normal. Maybe I should have done this first if I wanted to submit the other way, but no matter. So let's create a constructor, right? And we're going to use a static keyword because the whole class is static. And if you recall, that's sort of like turning object-oriented programming off. You don't actually create instances of this class because it's static. You know, that's turned off. It's not for creating instances. So, well, we would run into trouble if we just tried to make a regular constructor. Kata. Maybe I'll do it just to show you. So it's going to say this is an instance constructor, right? This is for creating objects of this blueprint class. You know, you can think of class as a blueprint on how to create a software object. And so if I do it this way, it's going to say, whoa, buddy, this whole class is static. You're not going to do OOP in here. Static classes cannot have instance constructors. So yeah, we got to get rid of that. And I don't even think they use a access modifier. So we'll just say static kata, and when this happens, this method constructor, if you will sort of run whenever you access any member. So in our case, the tests down here, right? They're going to try to access this website's property, or I'm sorry, it's not a property, it's a field, it's a member. Member properties have the get and the set. Right, like that. That's property, so don't want to be confusing there. So it's got this string array of websites. It's publicly available. The tests will access it. And once something's accessed for the first time, this constructor will run. So it gives us a chance to initialize this. Because if we didn't do it right, it would say this websites thing hasn't even been initialized. We never said make it into a new string array with 1,000 elements. That doesn't happen here. You could do it here. You know, you could say new string or array 1,000, but we didn't do it here. I'll do it down here. So websites equals new string. We'll give it 1,000 elements, right? And then you may have thought that you were going to just use a for loop to go through and populate each element. I equals 0, I is less than 1,000. You could certainly make a constant for the value 1,000 so you didn't have to keep repeating it, right? And then you could say websites index I, that's how we index into an array, right, with these square brackets, equals the text code wars. And then if I do this, which should be okay. Yeah, it looks good. So, but just to make my point, had you not actually created the array, you're going to have a bad time here. The type initializer for Kata through an exception, object reference not set to an instance of an object. So yeah, that's kind of a cryptic way of saying that, but basically you haven't actually instantiated the array yet, so make sure you do that. But yeah, this is another way you could have done it. I'm not going to submit this. I don't like this way as much. I'll go back and do the numerable range, or I'm sorry, repeat code wars 1,000, and I won't forget my link class there, bring that in. And then I think this was what we had the first time. Oh, I sure made the same mistake I did the first time. Got to match types, right? Can't assign to a string array if I don't. So there we go. I'm going to submit this one. I like this one better. And it looks like a lot of people went for that. Not surprising. It's a good way of doing it. Here you go. See, they initialized it up here and then did the for loop in the static constructor. Yeah, repeats or a for loop seem to be the popular ways of doing it. So yeah, hit me up if you have any questions. Otherwise, thanks for watching.